What is candidate experience in the context of selection and assessment? Well, overall, it is effectively the candidate's reactions and perceptions to the recruitment process itself and its constituent stages. So if a candidate is having a good time, is reacting well to the assessments and to the various stages in the recruitment process, that's an inherently good thing, and that's indicative of a good candidate experience. Now, why does this matter? Well, for a number of reasons. First of all, there's going to be a very clear correlation between participation and attrition and candidate experience. And if people are simply not being treated well, if they're having a bad time, they're not enjoying the process, they don't see it as meaningful or worthwhile, they're going to drop out and then go to organizations that offer a better candidate experience. Okay, so it's an important aspect of just retaining your pipeline of candidates. Additionally, from a sort of human level, you don't really want to be giving people a bad time unnecessarily. Okay, there are employers out there which, for various reasons, feel that they need to grill candidates, that they need to give candidates a really stressful time in order to see who has, resilience or persistence, something like that. Pretty good research seems to suggest that that is inherently linked with psychopathy. Okay, and that's what psychopaths do. They like to make people feel uncomfortable. They like to put people under pressure just to see how they negatively react. Any reasonable person would not want to do that, especially when it's ultimately going to be a partnership where you're going to be bringing people into the organization so that they can work together. It's not a sort of power dynamic where you want to just force people through an unpleasant process just to see who makes it through the other side. When it comes to improving candidate experience, there are really 4 components that we think you should be focusing on. First of all is difficulty. And what I mean by that is in the context particularly of ability testing and interviews, things where there is a manipulable level of difficulty in the task. Because if you make tasks too hard, that's going to impact the candidate experience and it's going to stress people out. Similarly, if tasks are too easy, they may not respect them and they may make silly mistakes as they go. So there's an optimal to be reached here. You want tasks which are difficult but not overwhelming so that they can enter a flow space when they participate. The next is engagement. And as much as possible, you want to create assessments and methods of selection which are engaging, interesting, memorable, because the alternative is boring. Next, we want to look at convenience. In that an assessment can be optimally difficult and it can be engaging, but if it's just not convenient to do, you will see attrition and people will resent the fact they're being made to do assessments or interviews or other methods which are just not convenient for them. That's particularly true in the early stages of the recruitment process, in that when someone has just made an initial application, no one wants to show up for like a 7-day assessment center with no guarantee that they'll make it through to the next stage. Whereas if they've gone through interviews and telephone interviews and gone through assessments, towards the end, maybe they'll be able to commit to something a little bit less convenient. But that needs to be optimized. And then finally, relevance. And if you give people assessments they don't perceive to be inherently relevant, they will drop out. Because they'll think to themselves, why am I even bothering with this? Clearly, these people don't know what they're talking about. But in practice, maybe it does have validity in the psychometric sense, but if it doesn't have face validity, if it isn't seen as relevant, then people will protest, and that will negatively impact the candidate experience.